Now on CoastTV News.
Chemical mix-up. Hazmat crews respond after pool chemicals cause injury and evacuation in Ocean View. Booking boom. More people are being arrested in Ocean City compared to last year. Officials say there's a reason for the increase. And toll hike. Delaware drivers and visitors could soon pay more on the roads. What that money might be used for.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Good evening. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with a hazmat response in Ocean View. A call at about noon today near Cedar Shores Road prompted a large response from nearby agencies. According to the Millville Fire Company, someone was transferring pool chemicals and ended up putting them in the wrong containers. People that were close to the incident were evacuated, but the only person hurt was the person handling those chemicals. First responders say they were having trouble breathing.
There was no exothermic response or anything like that to the chemicals, so it was fairly well controlled. You should not be any, well, we're going to do spot checks on the area before we clear, but until that time, there's no imminent danger at this point.
The scene was cleared by all responding agencies after almost 4 hours there today. Well, a former football player and recent graduate from Cape Henlopen High School was killed in a Sussex County shooting. Delaware State Police say 19-year-old Andre Mosley Jr. was shot at a home on River's Edge Drive in Millsboro on Saturday. Mosley was number 21 on the field. He played for 4 years for the Cape Henlopen Vikings. Now 25-year-old Marcus Harris faces multiple felonies, including first-degree murder in connection to that shooting. The school district says support will be offered in conjunction with its Pathways program. That's at the Slaughterneck Community Center tomorrow from 1 to 4 p.m. Also in Millsboro, Delaware State Police say a man has been arrested for killing a relative. Troopers say 46-year-old Daniel Steele is charged with first-degree murder after the death of a 75-year-old woman Sunday evening. Police say they were called to check on the woman after family said they could not reach her. When police arrived, they found her unresponsive on the couch. Investigators say Steele knocked the woman unconscious and then did not call for help. He's being held at SCI on a $1 million cash bond. Another shooting this weekend, this time in Dover, killed one man and injured several others. Police say a group of people were standing outside a home on Barrister Place on Saturday. Investigators say shots rang out just after midnight. 22-year-old Daniel Guzman was killed. 4 other men were injured, and now Dover police are asking anyone with information to please come forward.
Whatever way you feel comfortable, get us the information that we may not know. That not only helps us solve crime, but helps us get out in front of the potential crime that's going to occur.
Officers believe multiple suspects were involved, and Dover police say there are currently no additional leads. Meanwhile, in Ocean City, arrests seem to be on the rise. A recent report from the OC Police Department shows there were 210 arrests last month. At this same time last year, there had been 154, so that's up almost 40%. A spokesperson for the police department says a possible reason for the uptick is an increase in DUIs, with some officers specifically tasked with looking for drunk drivers.
They are solely focused on DUI enforcement, so they're not answering general calls for service or anything. They're out there looking for violations on their own or helping officers that are on their normal shift if they have a suspected DUI.
An OCPD is working with the Worcester County Health Department this summer for alcohol compliance checks. That's at bars, restaurants, and stores. The department says it's part of an effort to protect minors from the dangers of underage drinking. Well, toll increases may soon be on the way for drivers and visitors across Delaware. DelDOT proposing toll hikes at all 4 of Delaware's toll plazas. That's including I-95, Route 1, and US 301. Officials say this could generate up to $70 million to support long-term infrastructure improvements. On Route 1, Delaware Easy Pass users would pay $150 on weekdays and $4 on weekends. Out-of-state drivers and cash payers would pay nearly double that. Officials say rising costs and declining fuel tax revenue make an increase necessary.
As long as they keep the roads up, I don't have a problem with it. But it's when you are paying a lot of money and the roads are still really bad.
Now, this proposal is part of Delaware House Bill 164. The bill passed the House and now heads to the Senate floor in Dover. And DelDOT officials tell us this plan is aimed at supporting its capital program for many years to come. It's expected to generate about $70 million, as we mentioned. It says toll increases are necessary now because of rising costs and declining motor fuel tax revenue. DelDOT says that's a result of more electric and fuel-efficient vehicles on the road. Toll rates in Delaware have not increased in years. The last hike on Route 1 was back in 2007. On I-95, it was in 2014. Officials say all the money raised will go toward maintaining roads and infrastructure.
Given the growth that we're seeing across the state and the continued calls for infrastructure improvements, the only way for us to continue to fund those is by increasing our revenues.
Again, the proposal is part of House Bill 164. It passed the House, it goes on to the Senate, and we'll keep you updated on how that bill moves in the General Assembly. Meanwhile, another bill wants to establish statewide rules for pot retailers and ease zoning restrictions. In Sussex County, marijuana advocates say tough zoning laws have made it nearly impossible to actually open a store. Democratic Senator Trey Pardee says Sussex County has essentially made it illegal to open a shop, so the state needs to intervene. But some Republican representatives, like Brian Shoup of Milford, say this is majority party overreach.
The one-party rule, no matter what party it is, I think you get away from listening to local voices just by the nature of that happening.
You know, once the recreational cannabis stores are open, you're going to have less than 40 across the entire state. So it's just a little unreasonable what Sussex County has done, and again, they've made it illegal.
And that bill now heads to the Delaware House for a vote. We're taking a live look outside now into Lewis, and we're going to turn things over to our First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Paul Williams. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Christina. And we're staying a bit on the drizzly side right now, and we have cloud cover and overcast conditions kicking in as well. We're at 65 degrees right now in Milford, dew point temperature of 63. So yeah, lots of moisture in the atmosphere. Pay attention to that dew point temperature. Whenever it's in the 60s, that's when it starts feeling a whole lot muggier in our neck of the woods. We're at 64 degrees in Rehoboth, Long Neck, Indian River Inlet, Bethany Beach, Dagsboro, Millsboro, Gumsboro, everything with an O at the end of it, right? But also throughout portions of Georgetown, and that's not ending with an O. But we do have scattered showers. It's been sprinkling and raining throughout all of Newcastle throughout the day, but we haven't quite received that just yet. Now, as far as this evening is concerned, winds are going to come out of the north and begin to stay relatively calm, but the cloud cover is still going to stay a bit on the thick side. You're going to run into a possible patch of fog in some isolated spots as well. Coming up, Christina, we're going to be talking about the possibility of rain going into Wednesday and Thursday and how that could possibly turn into a concern for isolated thunderstorms.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Well, the suspect in the shootings of two Minnesota Democratic lawmakers and their spouses on Saturday now facing federal and state murder charges. Vance Bolter was arrested Sunday after what officials say marked the largest manhunt in Minnesota history. Mary Bell Gonzalez has the latest on the case.
It is no exaggeration to say that his crimes are the stuff of nightmares.
57-year-old Vance Bolter is accused of shooting Minnesota State Senator John Hoffman and his wife on Saturday before murdering former Minnesota House of Representatives Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband.
This is an attack on legislators, but it's really an attack on the American people, because it has a chilling effect on their ability to be represented.
After the first attack, police proactively checked on Hortman's home, where they found a man they believe was Bolter posing as an officer before he fled.
Had they not foiled the plan, essentially took his vehicle away from him, which involved all his maps, all his names, all his weaponry, I would be very scared what it would look like over the next few hours had we not done that.
Prosecutors say Belter prepared for days to impersonate an officer as part of his plan to kill the elected officials and others, showing up to the homes of the victims wearing tactical gear and a silicone mask. On Sunday, Belter surrendered peacefully at the command of a SWAT team. And while the suspect's motive remains unclear,
Belter also had in his car notebooks containing a list of more than 45 Minnesota state and federal elected officials, including Representative Portman.
even with the manhunt now over, those in nearby communities are concerned. In a post on X, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office says it's still receiving calls asking for extra presence. I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
And we still have more news to tell you about this evening. Coming up next, roadmap, big plans for Sussex highways revealed today. Also coming up, a Chincoteague pony's journey from struggle to strength.
Our Bay forecast highlighting we're looking for cloudy skies Tuesday for Cambridge and in Crisfield, but then in steps the scattered showers for us in Cambridge Wednesday and Thursday, and at the very least for Thursday for us in Crisfield. We'll talk about that rain and the timing of it in about 60 seconds. So the cloud cover, the overcast conditions, and that all day gray thing, we're going to repeat that again for Tuesday before we step into some scattered showers and possibly even an isolated thunderstorm or two. Now in Lewis right now, we're holding at about a steady 65 degrees, but look at the dew point temperature, just 1 degree below that. By the way, if it's ever a 65 temperature and 65 dew point, that means we're at 100% relative humidity. Yeah. Drizzle, dew, and all that kind of stuff will begin to kick in all over the place. We're going to stay with the heavy cloud cover all night long. Not much of a change there. Not much of a change in the temperatures either. Where we are right now is where we're going to stay pretty much most of the rest of the evening, going into the early morning hours. Temperatures we're looking at really 64 in most locations, to either 65 or 64, just about for everybody. But take a look at the dew point temperatures. Remember, that's that measurement of moisture. 64 Red and 64 in Seaford, 64 in Delmar. Oh, somebody had a question for me online. No, the dew point temperature is never supposed to be higher than the air temperature. If that's the case, you have a problem with your thermometer or your readings and stuff like that. You know, unless you're on Mars or somewhere, I guess, but not on Earth. So here's a look at your future dew points for 9 o'clock Tuesday. We're looking at dew point temperatures in the 60s, but look, we dance in the 70s throughout the day. That's a tremendous amount of moisture. Those are Mississippi, Louisiana, New Orleans numbers as far as moisture content is concerned. So we are really muggy, so let's just see how muggy we're going to be. Look, we're at humid, up to very humid, to hitting miserable for us for Tuesday going to Wednesday. Now, we'll see a dramatic drop down to muggy by the time we get to Thursday going into Friday, but we'll have to work our way down to muggy from where we're going to be for the rest of the week. But we're clear right now. Precipitation not really an issue. We have widespread flooding that's been really causing big time problems for the folks over in West Virginia. I mention that only because that same system is going to ease its way towards us, but it won't be as strong by the time it reaches us. Here's our expectations for tomorrow. Cloudy all day long with a smidgen of sunshine by 4 o'clock tomorrow. Temperatures in the 70s. Taking a look at our cloudy skies and gray conditions, 80s for us in Georgetown for the high, 82 in Cambridge and Vienna, and we expect a high of 80 degrees in Snow Hill and Pocomoke City. And then as we go into the afternoon, Tuesday we're cloudy. Wednesday in the morning we start off with winds out of the south, and then we keep a close eye after 4 o'clock. Scattered showers pull through relatively quickly, and because they're going to be rapid movers, makes me think they're going to possibly turn a little bit severe. Winds will be pushing primarily out of the south for Wednesday going into Thursday and Friday, so we'll have plenty of additional moisture that'll kick in for us. For Chincoteague, we're warm to 88 on Wednesday, 90 on Thursday. Assateague, 84 and 84. For Ocean City, we go from 84 to 84 as well, with thunderstorms expected for Thursday. And then we're going to climb to 92 in Lewis with a good chance of thunderstorms. And if we hit that 92 on Thursday with thunderstorms, those thunderstorms are going to get wicked, okay? For tonight, 65, increasing cloud cover, 78 for tomorrow, overcast, stormy possibly for us late in the day. Wednesday, that's when I'm really looking for the best chance of those thunderstorms to hit. Finally, here's a look at the extended forecast. Look for that chance of rain for Wednesday and for Thursday, Christina.
Thank you, Paul. Well, some viewers might remember something called the Coastal Corridor Study. We have been reporting on it. It's a study looking at how to improve traffic flow on several busy highways here in Sussex County. The final results of that study have now been published by DelDOT. In a meeting today, officials said public feedback helped shape those future plans.
It's always good to be aware of the multiple layers of transportation planning that are happening, because a lot of them focus on related but distinct issues in the transportation network, and being able to actually get briefed on them all at this meeting in the context of this particular study.
Now, there are quite a few recommendations included in that study. Many of them proposed roundabouts, also bike paths and widening roads, specifically in Milton and Ellendale. Now to Chincoteague, where a Chincoteague pony who was given a challenging start to life is now stepping into a new future. Over the weekend, a foal was discovered to be born without a hoof. The Chincoteague Volunteer Fire Company says they were not going to give up on the baby, though. The foal is currently under the care of a trusted veterinarian in Pennsylvania, awaiting a new prosthetic. Hunter Leonard with the fire company says that the foal will unfortunately not be re-released. She will remain in domestic care for the rest of her life.
It's really not that much different than humans as far as, you have a bandage and then you have the prosthetic. And it's really not been done. I don't think they've been doing it for more than a decade really with horses. So it's really not something that's very well understood. And so thankfully, where she's at now certainly will be able to give her whatever she needs.
And Leonard says they have had thousands of foals over the years, but nothing like this. The Chincoteague Fire Company says they will continue to update the community on that foal. Still ahead tonight, a proposal to double the federal minimum wage. It's gaining traction, what it could mean for the economy.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
Tonight, a story we have been closely following here at Coast TV. The Delaware General Assembly was not in session today. However, last Thursday, the last session day, another day, that District 20 Representative Stell Parker Selby was absent. Parker Selby has missed every single House vote this year. That's at least 141 votes. Politicians have confirmed that Parker Selby had a stroke. The legislative session will continue on Tuesday. This does bring us to our Coast TV poll tonight. We want to know if you think Stell Parker Selby's absence is taxation without full representation. Looking at the results now, 91% say absolutely, 7% say no, 2% in the middle, they say maybe. We also have a comment tonight. Sean from Greenwood says there needs to be a mechanism in the state constitution to address situations like this. And if you haven't voted or left a comment, you can still do that. Just go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Well, raising the minimum wage has long enjoyed widespread popularity among Democrats. But now, one Republican senator from Missouri is crossing party lines and proposing to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. In today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan looks at the pros and the cons.
A proposal to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour is gaining traction.
The minimum wage hasn't increased in 15 years.
Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri has teamed up with Democratic Senator Peter Welch of Vermont to introduce the legislation.
I just think it's basic justice. It's time to give American workers a raise.
Right now, the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour and hasn't been raised since 2009. This proposal would be more than double that rate. Several states, though, have voted to raise their minimum wages. The highest minimum wage is in the District of Columbia at $17.50 an hour, followed by Washington State, $16.66 an hour, and California's minimum wage, $16.50 an hour. But many states just use the federal minimum wage as their own. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that $7.25 in June of 2009 would be equivalent to $10.81 in 2005 when you factor in inflation. And while inflation has cooled recently, according to a recent federal report, one financial expert responding to the latest consumer price index number said Americans still feel like the cost of living is high.
Most people are most likely not looking at a purely economic sentiment reading. They're taking the assessment of their whole picture.
Here's the concern of raising the federal minimum wage. A few years ago, when the Congressional Budget Office looked at what a similar hourly increase would do to the economy, they found some low-wage workers could become jobless as business owners hired fewer workers due to rising labor costs. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Coming up in sports, the Phillies stretched their winning streak to 5. Meanwhile, history made today in the College World Series. In Lewis today, a big win for conservation. The $8 million that was needed to buy the 30-acre 4th Street Preserve has been raised, meaning the city will soon own this last patch of forest within city limits. The Parks and Rec Commission is now planning what's next, including trails, wetlands, and native plants. It took more than 2 years of fundraising by the Greater Lewis Foundation and other groups to make it happen. Jim Ford from the foundation says it's the last forest left in the city.
To have people enjoy the natural habitat that's here, maybe come out and pause and reflect, take a little stress out of your life, have an opportunity within the city to just chill out and let the native species be here and enjoy that.
Now, something important to note here, according to Ford, this land cannot become a park. A conservation easement protects the 4th Street Preserve from ever having large structures built on it. So while you will eventually see some walking trails, maybe some benches, you won't find any playgrounds or restrooms. Well, it is the time of year when many families take a break, maybe get away, go on that vacation they've been planning, but when the trip ends, returning to reality, it can be hard. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on how to beat the post-vacation blues.
Taking a break can be relaxing and rejuvenating, but the end of vacation can bring on the blues.
We might be having a great time and then we come back to reality and then, we're back to the grind.
Psychologist Rachel Gableman with the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center says there can be a sadness as you return to a regular routine. You may be faced with loads of laundry or stacks of work and feel like there's no longer a trip to look forward to.
It can just feel like, oh, why did I bother maybe taking that vacation? At all.
But Gableman says taking time off is good for our well-being, and you can beat the post-vacation blues by setting yourself up for success before you leave. Clean your house, stock your freezer and pantry so you don't have to clean and shop for groceries as soon as you return from vacation. When planning your trip, set aside a day when you get back so that you can reset before returning to work. And while you're on that trip, live in the moment. Let yourself enjoy the time you do have off instead of thinking about having to go back home. Finally, when you do go back home, she says start planning your next vacation, even if it's just a staycation or weekend getaway.
We, as humans, really like to look forward to things. It is something that, might reduce our stress and help us to keep going.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
When you live on Delmarva and the sports guy is starting with Arkansas baseball, you know something pretty significant must have happened. For the first time in 65 years, we have a no-hitter thrown in the Men's College World Series. Arkansas native Gage Wood trolled the third no-no ever in Omaha. The junior did it on 119 pitches, striking out 19 in a 3-0 win over Murray State. The only racer to reach base was a hit batsman in the 8th inning. The Razorbacks now look to extend their stay with another elimination game coming up. Meanwhile, the Phillies continued their winning ways. The Phils topped the Marlins 5-2. Alec Boehm came through with a 2 RBI single in the 9th to give the Titans some breathing room. It's Philadelphia's 5th consecutive win, and the Phils have gained 3.5 games in the standings in that time as well. The Phillies now sit 2 games back of the Mets with a 3-game set against New York looming this weekend at Citizens Bank. And remember, this Friday, it's a DSN doubleheader. Up at the University of Delaware on DSN Plus, we'll have the annual Blue Gold football game between the best seniors in the First State. Team Gold is trying to avenge last year's 32-2 loss to the Upstate squad. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. from Delaware Stadium in Newark. We'll also have the Berlin bathtub races. One of Delmarva's great summer traditions begins at 6 this Friday. That is for Sports Tonight.
One gentleman celebrated his 90th birthday at the Cheer Center in Georgetown today. Walter Koopman. He's a respected member of the community. He fought during the Korean War and became a Grand Prix race car driver. It was after those lifetime achievements that Koopman received a Jefferson Award, gave back to museums, and so much more.
You know, 90 is a number.
Time to eat cake, share some memories, and cherish a local hero. Happy birthday, Walter.
The original speed racer. That's him. All right, in Milford, 65 degrees actually, with tranquil conditions actually for the most part. We're going to stay in the mid-60s with cloudy skies staying persistent for tonight. We're not seeing any precipitation for right now, but we are going to need our umbrellas by Wednesday, Thursday. By the way, speaking of umbrellas, Pam Holloway, our winner from Laurel. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling. Listen, be sure you call our weather line. The number is 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away. Sponsored by the law offices of Brugstead, Mandalis, and Federico. Finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Very cloudy again tomorrow, similar to what we had today. Just put that on rinse and repeat, okay? Then Wednesday and Thursday, we will have a chance of thunderstorms. It's going to be warmer, muggier, and much stormier.
Sounds fun. Thank you, Paul, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. For some more local news and local weather, you can download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.